I was really struck by a sentence in your book when you were talking about your values and what brings you to this work. You said a failure to care about climate change is a failure to love. And I thought, wow, that is, first of all, that's a completely universal way of talking about it. Everyone loves something, and everyone has something that they love that is endangered by climate change. So it's a failure of all of us to love. And then I thought about how many of our current, it focuses us in the right place. It focuses us on caretaking and our values, right? It doesn't focus us on scientific questions. And then I thought about how many of our social problems, not just climate change, right? Like what is a pandemic that we can't, protect each other from sufficiently, but a failure to love? And what is gun violence, but a failure to love? And like, what's racial violence, but a failure to love? So many of our struggles are ultimately a failure to love. And I also love this phrase because it points us at the solution, which is that we need to be loving better. And that it just so happened that like many of the 370 people on the line tonight are thinking the same way, because one of the top voted questions is about expanding our circle of compassion larger in the way we need to include the future, to include people around the world, such that we can meet this moment. So this is maybe not a fair question to ask a scientist. It's really a spiritual question, but I'm just curious as a person, as a human being, what your thoughts are about how we all might grow in our capacity to love and to love better than we do now.
Well, I love that you honed in on that, because that is exactly the case. And to be totally honest, the book is not exactly about climate change. It's more like the icing is climate change and the cake is about how do we get along and head towards a better future for us all. And climate change is one of the biggest things standing in the way to that better future. But if we can come together on the most contentious issue in the United States in the last 10 years, what else might we be able to come together along the way? And what else might we be able to fix? So love is really at the core of it. And here's, I think, where we've fallen short. And I'm so glad you brought in that question, which is fantastic. We often assume, and this is something I say in the book, that people will have to care about this for the same self-evident reasons that we care about it. I care about it because of this. And so obviously everybody should care about it because of this. And if they don't care about it because of this, they're probably a bad person. They don't have the morals or the ethics that they need, and they need to have the right priorities. Well, most people have ethics and morals and are living according to them. People have values and want to live true to them, but they're different than ours. Almost everybody has something they love. Almost everyone does. And I say almost, I mean just about every single person in the world, right? We have something we love. And if we don't think we care about climate change, it's simply because we have not connected the dots between what we love and how climate change affects it. I alluded at the beginning to the problem that so often it's called saving the planet. But if we talked about it as saving our child or saving something we're passionate about, like, as I talk about in the book, there's a young ski racer who's just a little bit older than Linda, who's passionate about her sport. And so that's what she wants to save. There's people who are passionate about food. There's people who are very passionate about justice. There's people who are passionate, whatever it is we're passionate about. Climate change is affecting it, I guarantee you. We have passed the point where you could sort of pick and choose. Whatever somebody is passionate about and cares about, climate change is affecting it. So it isn't a case of teaching people to be more compassionate about what we care about ourselves. It's about us being more compassionate and figuring out what they care about, and then helping them connect the dots between what they care about and how climate change is affecting it and what solutions they can engage in. And that absolutely requires compassion. We have to walk a mile in somebody else's shoes rather than forcing them into our shoes. But that is exactly how we get everybody on board with this.
Somebody in the chat is saying, save the chocolate, because that's the thing they love.
Yes. And as I talk about in the book, you can save the beer, you can save the wine, you can save the tennis, the running, the beaches. Yes, it doesn't matter, because we all have something we love, and every single one of those things is at risk from climate change, other than cockroaches. If that's the one thing you're passionate about, I'm sorry, but you might not have the reason you need to care about climate change.
Thank you.